check this out. You won't believe what was said.
Donald Trump said on the issue of gay marriage,
not a fan of any of that.
Donald
Trump
someone who's further right.
Yeah, I mean,
have to have
Tim's
M
right,
and
yeah.
F on their passport. So now most trans people cannot go internationally anywhere where they don't appear as like an M on their passport.
And
that's just not. That's dangerous for trans people. If if you want to do, I'm running into this with a friend right now who tries to do war correspondence in countries that don't like trans people. She, in every way, is a woman. Nobody would look at her and think that that person should walk into a male bathroom. But because she's trans, she has an M on her passport, and she now cannot go into multiple very conservative countries because of threats to her life.
Well, to be fair,
I mean, she'd be under,
in the first place.
He'd be under threat if they went anyways.
No, she wouldn't, because most people, first of all, she was not super out about her transness. Most people never knew at all. And she has gone into these countries numerous of times in the past. She can't anymore at all because of this passport change. That isn't helping trans people. That is fundamentally.
That just seems like a self-inflicted.
But
regardless, how is this self-inflicted at all?
I mean, you're choosing to go to those zones.
She's a war correspondent as her career.
Anyways.
Yes, she goes to Iraq, but she's always gone to Iraq.
You know, I'll concede this is a lefty position, and it is. I would refer to as I don't know what's the right way to describe this. Farcical, fantastical. I did conflict reporting. I didn't go to any active war zones. I went to civil war and like conflict and crisis and disaster zones. And it was always fascinating to me because of this political correctness reality, especially pertaining to HR and stuff. The story that I usually tell is I was doing what's called heat training. It's redundant. Heat includes the word training. Hostile environment action training. And they couldn't actually tell the women not to go to these zones and prepare them for what happens to women in war zones because they'd get sued if they did. And so someone asked this former MI6 guy, should women who go into conflict zones be concerned about rape? And he went, men get raped. Men get raped. Anyway, so moving on. Because he literally couldn't say, if you're a woman and you go to a war zone and you're captured, you'll be mercilessly raped and sold into slavery. And if you're a man, you probably won't be.
You'll be killed.
Because if he did, that would be sexual discrimination in a work environment because this is a contracted company for insurance providers and media outlets. He's not allowed to say these things. So stupid. The idea that a trans person thinks they have a right to go to a conflict zone and, oh, heavens me, my passport. Dude, that you die. You go to conflict zones, you assume the risks of who you are and what you are. And this idea that you are entitled to some special privilege to go to a foreign country where you may be killed in any circumstance is laughably insane.
What's the benefit of changing any of these passport things except
in
for
1993, there was a law passed in the United States because forever when medical testing was done for drugs, they did not do it on women. And so when women would go to the hospital with pain, they'd say, take this painkiller. And the woman would say, it hurts. And they go, women are such fucking babies. And then they were like, hey, maybe drugs work differently on men and women due to physiology. So they passed a law saying from now on, medical research has to be done on both men and women because we are just kind of realizing the drugs work differently on women. So if someone, considering men and women have different organs, quite literally, there's a reason for why we designate your gender
on your passport.
On it's an ID.
Why on my passport does it need to say for somebody who in every single way, it's like Blair White,
yeah, sure.
Look at them and say, it looks like a woman.
Are women allowed to walk around outside in Islamic nations? Without a man?
I was going to say with a man and usually covered, yes.
So with a man. So if a female decides to get a visa to...
Do you think that a Blair White could walk around in Islamic countries without a man because they'd be like, well, she's trans? No, of course not.
Of course not.
So the war correspondent is already going...
I think you have a right to subvert the laws of a foreign nation that has invited you into their country.
How is it subverting the laws?
Lying to subvert their laws, which have specific gendered laws. You say, I should have a government document that lies so I can break the law in that country is an absurdity.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. The laws that they would be breaking is that if Blair White has M on their passport, I guess Blair should be walking around without head coverings and wearing like keffiyeh and not having a person, which they would kill her for because they would see a woman.
What right do you have to someone else's nation? I don't understand.
This isn't about a right. This is about your own country granting you the ability to exist and perform in the way that every single person is going to treat you.
We're talking specifically about your friend who wants to go to conflict zones in foreign countries and lie to their government to get privy to access.
You have the right to go and do your work.
You do not have a right to someone else's nation. they grant you a privilege to enter under visa.
Sure, but the issue is that you're making it seem like I would grant you that if it was the other nations getting mad at America, being like, put M on trans passports. But that's not what happened. Trump made the decision himself, unrelated to any external pressures. I'm not even sure why.
You said they could be killed.
They could be killed.
Why?
If Blair White...
Would the government take action against this person?
They probably would get in major trouble at the border at all.
Agreed.
They would.
So you're asking the U.S. government to produce a false document to lie to a foreign government so they can get a visa.
Are you saying that it was a false document before, that the government was just lying this entire time?
If you're a man and they put female on your passport, they're lying.
Well, if you put gender and put woman, isn't that fine?
There's no W. It's male or female. Those are sexes. It's biology.
Sure, but couldn't we just update the passport to be gender?
No.
Why not?
Because we're identifying a biological structure of human beings for a purpose, because different laws...
On the passport?
Indeed. It's an ID. And we have international treaties with foreign nations because they have different laws than us. This idea that Americans get to go and do whatever they want whenever they want is so stupid.
That's not what I'm advocating for.
You think an American male should be able to get a passport that says they're a female so they can enter a country where it's illegal and do things that are otherwise illegal?
I think that the idea that, like you were basically saying, that Trump is pro-trans in every way. And I said...
I didn't say he was pro-trans.
You said that he was very
moderate on the issue.
Yeah, exactly. And I said he immediately did something that actually has security and life threats against your civilians. You know what the American government has responsibility for? Protecting its citizens.
What does that have to do with entering a foreign country under sovereign jurisdiction?
Because you're still an American citizen that the government has a procedure to protect. So if that trans person goes, you know what? I'll embrace that.
Why?
Blair White goes, it should say M on my passport, and then goes in. Does the American government have to go rescue her when she inevitably gets attacked and assaulted? Or does she just have to give up on her career as a war correspondent?
Yes, you do. You're not entitled to these things. This is weird.
It's such a wild thing for you to say. It's totally chill that the American government can just be like, nah, you're not allowed to do your
I think you're lying.
Anymore. I'm not lying.
You think Americans should have a right to commit crimes in other countries, yes or no?
That's not what I've said.
I'm not saying you are, but is the answer no?
No.
So Americans should not be able to break the law in other countries.
Correct.
Even when those laws are bullshit.
By and large. And the American government should protect you when you do it.
Don't go to, where is it, like Dubai. They have, if a woman gets raped in Dubai, you go to prison. Okay. So is it illegal for women to walk around in these countries? It is, right?
Yeah, without the male and et cetera, yes.
So if a female dresses up like a man and takes hormones to mask it to the government, like let's say a woman in Saudi Arabia starts illicitly taking testosterone to appear like a man to go around and break, they would get in trouble for that, wouldn't they?
Probably not if they passed well enough, because nobody would know.
No, I'm saying when they got caught, it's a crime. It is illegal to do.
Because they're trans, yeah.
So I don't understand how you're arguing.
Trans. You're basically saying that trans people just shouldn't go where where it's illegal for them to exist. That's what you're saying.
Why would you? Well, hold on.
Any reason that you might want to do war correspondence? What do you mean?
Do you recognize that war correspondents can die?
Yeah.
So I don't understand what your point is.
My point is that you should
people have a right to go to foreign war zones without the risk of death, and they should be able to,
not what I'm advocating for. They have a right to be able to go, and their government shouldn't be immediately outing them to make it more dangerous.
Wait. You think people have a right to go to any country they want?
Assuming that the government approves their visa, et cetera, et cetera. Yet, not right.
Okay. I agree. If they approve their visa, right?
They have the liberty to go, I should say. A right is probably
assuming
the
that foreign government says we will grant you the visa.
Yeah, the liberty to.
Do people have a right to lie on their visa applications?
No, but the issue is that before the government didn't view that it was a lie, and now they do.
It is. Because we're not talking about gender on passports. You agree with that. We're talking about biological sex.
I'm advocating that essentially you probably should allow somebody like Blair White.
Different argument. You are upset that Donald Trump said you have to have your biological sex.
Undid something because it was already done.
Because they were putting fake sexes on passports.
Essentially, yeah, which would have been better if they did gender instead. I agree.
Okay, so then the issue is, this is where the contention is. You have a friend who wants a false biological sex listed on their passport,
wants their passport
so they can defraud a foreign country into entering.
Not really. I want them to be able to have the liberty to go there, and that the moment that they go there, they won't...
The liberty to go there.
The liberty to go there.
At the permission of the government.
Both
who
of
expects
them.
you to tell the truth on things like what your biological
For
sex
example,
is.
if your government just agrees that essentially you perform as a woman and they're willing to give you an F so that you can enter spaces safely and walk around and not be attacked for just how you appear, yes.
Do you think countries like the Emirates and Dubai appreciate the fact that people are lying about their gender to bypass?
Probably not. Probably not. I just don't really.
I don't
care about like.
This is American exceptionalism. This is like American citizens can present false paperwork to foreign countries to get access to their
It's
nation.
not false paperwork if the government verifies it.